Welcome back to the Unanimous Decision Podcast. I am your host, DPalm. Follow me on Twitter at DPalm66. Follow the show on Twitter at EDPod. Follow the entire MTR network at the MTR network. You found us, don't lose us. Subscribe in the iTunes store. Subscribe anywhere podcasts are given away for absolutely free. And also leave that 5-star review right there. You leave 5 stars, we'll read it on the air. And we're deep into it, guys. We're now here at day 3 of Podcast Week 2018. So far, you've already heard Chad Floyd talk about Georgia's prospects for the season. You've heard Mike Felder talk about the Power 5. Hell, excuse me, I'm sorry, this is day 3. This is day 4 because you've already heard me and Barso talk about the AFC. Now we're going to get into it. I've got on here, I don't know how this happened, but he's become a frequent guest of the podcast. That's a lack of quality control on my part. Konata Edwards, Konata the Scribe. What up, man? How you doing?
Quality control, man. I improved. Any podcast that I happen to be on, I improve. I am insulted. Look, Monsoon. I am human. You are Gorilla Monsoon. This is how we work. Now, I improve the quality. I am insulted by this. So insulted.
It was an insult. You should be insulted that I've achieved the goal that I was aiming for. But normally I tell people like where they can find you, but I feel like I can find you too many places. Will you please let the listeners know where they can check all the good work you're doing?
All right. So we're doing uprocks.com. I was going to do some WNBA stuff. Some life stuff happened, new job, what have you. So I do that. There's going to be a dime bi-weekly column, early preview for the podcast week, folks. There's going to be a bi-weekly column on the NBA probably coming next little month, in the month or so. We're doing games on Uprocks video games. I work with Spandex on Uprocks, and I do Locked On Hornets, and you're probably going to see me do a few spots if you're in the Charlotte area for ESPN 730 on a bi-weekly basis as well. And I do podcast production for cgittimer.com. So if you need help with your production, just email Nada at gittimer.com. We can get you set up.
So I guess we'll talk after the show about when we're going to be letting me on your with Spandex, the Uprocks, when you're going to hook me up with some spots on that. But we'll discuss that off the air. That's fine. That's fine. But like I said, podcast week, you guys are here in day 4. It's been a lot of fun so far. Tomorrow we're dropping the SummerSlam preview. It's myself, it's Rich Van, and Cam Hawkins from over at PW Torch, and our good friend Sam Franco. We're talking all things WWE, and maybe, just maybe, punish myself by announcing a new podcast. Make sure you check out the show notes. You can find all the opportunities for NFL pick'em signups. So you can join our league and lose to me in public fashion like everyone did last year. You think I'm kidding? I am not. Last year's NFC. Let's talk about it because
let's.
I gotta be honest. It was weird, right? Because it felt like things on a certain level made sense. Certain teams did certain things. The Falcons kind of shook off that label of Super Bowl hangover teams because they came out with a 10-win season. But it felt to me like it was just kind of a disjointed NFC because the top was really good, but the middle and bottom weren't that great.
No, it wasn't that good at all. The thing that bugged me about this season is for a large part of this season, you had a team like Philly that was really, really good, but it was like, I'm not so sure. You had the Saints who were really, really, really good last year.
I refuse to acknowledge that, but it's true.
And Minnesota, which we'll get into a little bit later, but they were good, but we didn't think they were like NFC title game good. There was a lot of just supremely weird stuff, and then of course we have the return of Jimmy G out there, and like the NFC is possibly one of the most interesting. It's the stronger conference. It's better than the AFC,
correct,
clearly. And I would probably say at the same time, they're going to eat each other alive in this conference this year.
Right, and that's kind of how it felt last year. It was kind of a war of attrition. You thought you'd see a stumble out of Philadelphia when they lost their quarterback, but, Foles stepped in and they didn't miss a step. It was kind of really impressive because that was the story at the top of the NFC last year, whether it be in Minnesota, whether it be in Philadelphia, like you already mentioned. An injury would happen, and these backup quarterbacks kind of proved their worth pretty quickly. Let's start out west, just because I think it's easier to go west to east, because eventually we're going to end up in the south, and I'll end up being irrational about the Falcons.
But you can't help yourself.
I can't. I apologize to no one. It's just how it is. I know me. This is how it's going to work. I'm going to be irrational about the Falcons because I can still taste that Patriots game. It's still just, I hate it.
Yeah, look, you can't. That's going to stay with you, just like Eugene Robinson probably stays with you.
Let's get to the Arizona Cardinals, you bastard. Last year, the Arizona Cardinals rolled out, picked up 8 wins. This year, their win total still stands in Vegas at 5.5. Before we get into it, do you think they're going to win more or fewer games than that 5.5 number?
I really like Steve Wilks. I've met Steve Wilks before. I've smoked a cigar with Steve Wilks. That man is a leader of men. He's going to get that team together sooner than later. Again, Sam Bradford's not going to stay healthy. We all know that. I like Josh Rosen. I still think he is one of the better rookie quarterbacks, if not the best, out of this class, not named Lamar Jackson. I think they get over 8. I think over 5.5.
5.5. The question now is how much do you think the rest of the division is going to suffer? Because I think the 5.5 is predicated on them picking up some in-division wins, and I don't see that happening. We're looking around.
I don't trust Seattle.
Okay, we'll definitely get to Seattle. I definitely hear you there. I just tell you what, the Arizona team, you can say what you will about the possibilities. I just don't see it. 5.5 feels like a lot of wins. But you went out here and you name dropped on us on the first team we talked about. You told me what a leader of men this guy is going to be. So maybe, just maybe, we'll go over. I got to ask you about this because we talked about Rosen, which is what I wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona is now infringing on Southern culture with their $75 burger, eat in an hour, win a Cardinals jersey. Have you seen this monstrosity?
No, I have not seen this monstrosity, but considering it's Arizona.
5 third-pound burger patties, 5 all-beef hot dogs, and 5 bratwursts for $75. Now, let's just say someone endeavored to do this and they did it within an hour. The payoff has to be more than a Josh Rosen jersey or a Sam Bradford jersey. It can't be an Arizona Cardinals jersey. That can't be the win.
No, the win has to be a luxury box. 1 week.
And you'll pay for any bypass-related injuries.
Yes, exactly. I need a week in the luxury box. Again, I need a game. I need a home game in the luxury box. Me, 10 of my friends, we get to hang out there because I paid $75 to give myself a quadruple or a quintuple bypass. That's the only way I'd be doing that.
Let's go now. That's really true. Let's go now to San Francisco. The Niners, last year they won 6 games. The line this year is 8.5. A lot of smoke coming out of Jimmy Garoppolo. The question now, 8.5, they're basically saying, is there any fire to that smoke?
I want to believe it. I want to believe it. But this seems like Washington, because again, we always talk about, anyone that followed football in the mid-2000s, Washington's going to be good. Washington's going to be good. Washington's going to be good. And then they'd fall flat on their face. This has all the makings of Washington back in the day where the league catches up and there's more than enough tape to figure out what works well with Jimmy Garoppolo and what doesn't work well. And I think there's entirely too much smoke with the Reuben Foster stuff, with all their off the field issues. I could see them winning 8 games because even then, going 8-8 in that division is going to be it's going to be an accomplishment considering they won just 6 last year.
They did win 6 last year, and that's actually a rival of Jimmy Garoppolo, who, despite what everyone's going to tell you, the numbers were fine. They're not great. Yeah. I wouldn't have given him the contract you gave him. I like how the offseason, like you saw about off-the-field things, and that there are some legitimate off-the-field issues in San Francisco. One of them has been your quarterback dating a porn star. That's why he played quarterback.
Exactly, so you don't have to.
Yeah, no, not even have to. To do whatever you want. The porn star is not checking for the left guard.
No.
Porn star's not checking for the kicker. Particularly in football, we're talking about these guys, and I always say that the football players are the ones you can always spot at the club. Because the guys wearing like their numbers and big chains because you don't know their faces. Jimmy Garoppolo dating a porn star is one of the perks of being quarterback. I have no problem with it. I think it's very funny the way everyone handled it. But you're right. There are legitimate off-the-field issues for this team. Can they coalesce under Kyle Shanahan in this offense and find a way to win more than 8.5 games? I don't think so. And I think part of that is because I'm not as high on Garoppolo as everyone else. But at the same time, when I watch and hear the reports of the links to which Bill Belichick didn't want to give him up, maybe I'm the wrong guy. Maybe I'm wrong.
Here's the other thing. First 4 weeks of the schedule for the 49ers. Vikings, Lions, Chiefs, Chargers. I could see them going 1-3 in that stretch.
Yo, then it's Cardinals, Packers, Rams.
Like, that's brutal.
Here you go. We're going to be really right or really wrong about the Niners very quickly.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to figure that out real quick.
Immediately. Let's go north to Seattle. The perennial Seahawks. They're going to come out here with defense and beat you with this trudged, not so appealing offense. But wait, the defense has left town. The offense is still a question mark. Uh-oh. A lot of problems in Seattle. They won 9 last year, and honestly, that's a quiet 9. I don't remember 9 wins. Their line is 8 this year. I got them going under for reasons I'll get into. Now, give me your needs work on this one.
Instant reaction just looking at the schedule is not good. Broncos, Bears, Cowboys, Cardinals, Rams, Raiders. I don't see 3 wins, much less 2. I don't see how they get 8. And if they do, give Russell Wilson the MVP. Just give it to him. Just give it to him.
Well, it's interesting because one of the tenets of the Seattle team for a long time about the construction was they would cheap out on the offensive line. We all bitched about it for years. They would convert tight ends. They would, we'll teach you to play a line. And it never really worked because the defense was good enough to where you pretended that it did. Now, that same practice is in place because you finally paid Russell Wilson, but now you can't afford that defense. What they've done with the rule changes, and what I would believe you could have a collusion case about them stymieing the value of these safeties, but their safeties aren't in camp. Cam Chancellor or Cam Thomas aren't there. And then it's a whole lot of who are these guys around him. Like maybe, just maybe, that Seattle defense did get old fast. Maybe. But I'll tell you what, the drop-off did not have to happen the way it did. This was a choice by Seattle. They will spin it as a way of players being selfish and leaving the team and not believing in Pete Carroll. But guess what? Pete Carroll's a fucking college coach. And I like Pete Carroll. I think he's a good coach. But there are times when these college coaches, their message is designed to get stale after 4 years. Because they got new years after every 4.
Yep.
It feels like Pete Carroll's motivational nonsense and 9/11 trutherism. Google it. I swear to God, he thinks that stuff. Has kind of worn thin on older players in the league and players who probably know they're worth a bit more than these rookies. And because of them finishing with 9 wins and 10 wins, the rookies aren't the caliber of Richard Sherman. They aren't the caliber of a Cam Chancellor. You're not going to replace those guys. And you haven't done it. You haven't done it on the offensive end. So now you're going to ask Russell Wilson, to carry you to over 8 wins. And I don't see it.
Now, I don't see it at all. And the other thing is, remember, there were locker room issues. Because I think either Wickersham or Don Van Natta had that piece last year where there was legitimate smoke and there was that schism in that locker room, and they didn't handle that well. So we think that there's going to be less of that now because Michael Bennett's gone, because Cam Chancellor's gone, because Richard Sherman's gone. We think there's going to be less of that, or is that going to be exacerbated because it's basically Russell Wilson and Bobby Wagner, and there can only be one a la Highlander. So, I mean, this is going to be an interesting little dynamic. I just don't think they're that good.
Their gamble is that the old message will be found on these new players more easily than it was in the old players. The gamble I think they may lose is that these new players that Pete doesn't have the cachet with them yet. They haven't won together. It's easier to accept the message from someone who you've won with. These new guys are like, yo, Pete Carroll won once upon a time, but he hasn't done it with me. So it's going to be interesting to see if people are going to have that happen. Like you said, is it going to be more smoke out of the locker room, or is it going to be kind of, bended fences? Yeah. Let's go now to the Rams.
Yeah.
Before I say anything about the Los Angeles Rams, who happened to win 11 games last year, they're slated on the line to win 10 this year. It's a good line, in my opinion. I think they win more if they bring in Aaron Donald.
Yeah, they got.
I get it. The money is weird, and you internally as a front office, you have a limit on how much you're willing to pay, say, an interior defensive lineman. How fucking ever there are times when, as I learned by reading a lot of Batman comics, circumstances dictate actions.
Yes.
The circumstance is he's the best defensive player on the planet.
Best football player on the planet.
The action has to be compensate him as such. Because you can tell me how good that secondary is. You can tell me how great Alec Ogletree and that linebacking core can be. I tell you that their greatness is only heightened by Aaron Donald's presence, and that in his absence, you will see just how good they are, and you may not like the money you've already spent.
I personally don't get why they're playing hardball with the wrong guy.
It's August 11th, and I should not be saying Aaron Donald's not in camp.
This doesn't make any sense. And
it makes sense because the team knows that they can spin this against the player. They've been able to do it. It's the history of the NFL.
Also true.
But if the goal is if you're going to pay Todd Gurley what you paid him, if you're going to give this coach the leeway you've given him, given his age and experience level, then it only stands to reason that you'd want to create the best possible scenario for your team to be successful on the field. And in doing that, the only answer is to sign this man. Give him what he wants.
It doesn't make sense because you've gone all in and burned more draft picks than Jordan Belfort burned money in Wolf of Wall Street. That's the only reason this doesn't make sense. Pay the guy. This is a one-year deal. This is a one-year thing. I don't understand any of this, especially when you paid Brandon Cooks all that money.
I didn't want to see. I'm trying to be positive, but yeah, Brandon Cooks is the reason I'm upset.
I kind of figured. I understand.
Flat out the reason.
I understand. I totally understand. As far as this team goes, even if you bring in Aaron Donald, I still think this is a 9-win division will win you the West. I think 9 wins will win you the West.
I think 9 wins will win you. I think they win 11. I love with Aaron Donald. That's like, as I've got my notes in front of me, there's a huge asterisk next to this one because my caveats, if you can sign Aaron Donald, you dumbasses. Like, it's just give him the money. Just give him the money. It's just money. Give him the money.
I don't, again, with Aaron Donald, they're an 11-win team. I just don't see him coming into camp or playing until, I don't know, week 2, week 3.
They're going to lose 2 or 3 games before they fight. Because, spoilers, he did this last year. People were like, oh, player, no, this is the plan. Aaron Donald knows what he's doing. He's not doing this on a whim. He's making a statement that he knows he can back up. This is not a man who's scared about his money. This is a man who knows precisely what he's doing. And once the team starts losing, they will pay him a la Emmitt Smith.
Mm-hmm. Sean Gilbert.
I kind of wish Julio would let the Falcons lose a couple games. There's a part of me that will always like, just wait, just sit out 2 weeks and get all the money, Julio. But I'm glad he's going to be in camp. We'll get to the Falcons later. Let's go to the NFC North, where things are cold and teams are bad. And I'm not entirely sure what to believe because the Chicago Bears, if I look at it on paper, what they've built, particularly defensively, I'm excited by it. I look at their win total last year, 5 wins. The line's at 6.5. It feels like an easy bang the over because I think Trubisky's better than I ever thought he would be. But at the same time, with that defensive talent, you don't have to be. However, when you can't sign Roquan Smith, because you're scared, like the reasoning behind it, and I bitched about this on at least 2 shows already, but I'm going to bitch it again because, hey, it's my show.
Mm-hmm.
If they want your guaranteed money for a rule that has not yet been defined, the fact that people are taking the team side just crystallizes how much people hate the players.
Yeah. People hate the players. And I personally, I don't get playing hardball with a young guy who's probably going to end up being the captain of your defense going forward. A guy that is at minimum a Lance Briggs clone who was beloved in Chicago. And more importantly, for our pseudo gambling purposes, I want to pick the over because that middle of that season stretch looks so tempting. This is a 7-win team at minimum, and that offense is going to be exciting with Matt Nagy coaching it.
I don't get it. This is another one where it's like Aaron Donald, like just do it, just get him in camp. Because you're right. And the thing is, I know what they're doing. I know why they're doing it. It's hardball to set precedent so they can take guaranteed money, so they can slowly erode what guaranteed money actually means.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the NFL. You've already got all the strings, ownership. You have all the balls are in your court. You have it all. Like, why are we getting greedy with this kid at this time in your franchise's history? Why is this the place to make a statement?
I wish I could give you an answer, because this one is literally just up because we can, because we're rich. That's it.
Detroit Lions, they won 9 games last year. You may remember them from being good early on and then fading out late, as every other Detroit Lions team in the history of time.
Mm-hmm.
Except they never started out good. They're on the slate right now for 7.5 wins. I don't see 7. And I'm not trying to be negative because I'm a Stafford guy. I'm a Georgia fan. I love Matt Stafford. I don't see 7 wins on this offense. And maybe I'm crazy, but big arm and lack of talent around it does not equal winning football games, in my opinion.
I personally think the Lions made a mistake firing their coach and bringing in Matt Patricia. I think he had a lot to do with a lot of the things they did well on offense. And I think Matt Stafford is used to that offense and the easy button, making easy throws. And at some point, Golden Tate being this guy that was a lot better than I ever gave him credit for is going to fade. And I just don't see it with him. I don't see 7 wins. I don't see 6. This is a 4-12 team waiting to happen. This is a 4-12 team, and we can see them lose to the Jets. Yes, those Jets. We could see that happen. I don't think this team is very good, and I think they're going to be picking high.
My one thing for you is you already touched on it. The Matt Patricia hire.
Yeah.
This isn't a team that you build. You have enough money tied up in your quarterback where winning now is not an exaggeration.
Yeah. Like, literally, the issue I had the most with is if you're going to fire the coach, you bring in another offensive guy. You have to bring in another offensive guy. You emphasize the offense, and they didn't do any of that. Plus Ziggy Ansah. So I have a lot of – this team has a lot of problems, and I don't think they're going to fix any of them anytime soon. Matt Patricia could be disastrous, especially when considering that the Lions didn't properly do a background check, which in 2018.
Did you guys Google him? No? Huh, crazy. Let's stay in the division. The Packers. Last year was marred by having Aaron Rodgers not be around. They still won 7 games. This year they're on the hook for 10 wins. They've revamped a lot of the receiving core around Aaron Rodgers, a lot of it without his consideration.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a kind of a standing frustration there between team and player again over money. It looks like Aaron Rodgers is going to be going and doing his job, albeit probably not that happily. The O-line doesn't seem to have gotten any better. Do you think that this is a 10-win football team?
Absolutely not. This is a one-team league, guys, and it's in Minnesota, and we'll talk about them in a little bit. This is a one-team league. This is a one-team conference division, and this feels like this is going to get ugly before it gets better.
Can I be completely honest with you?
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you on all of that. It's not a 10-win team. It's a hard division. It's a one-team division. However, that Aaron Rodgers variable, like looking at doing the prep of this and looking at 7 last year without Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, well, I mean, 10 seems very well in reach. I think Aaron Rodgers is worth those wins.
I think he's worth it. I just don't think they're going to give him anything. And at some point, that Aaron Rodgers looks old, slow, etc., is going to hit. I just think this is the Green Bay Swan song for Aaron Rodgers this year.
You know what? I every year I record a over-unders podcast for this NBA. I've done it for about 5 years now, and every year I make a joke. And I used to write a column before that on my old blog, and my joke was, I'll bet against the Spurs when someone proves to me they're dead. When you poke the body and you prove to me it's dead. I will bet against the Packers on an over-under when you prove to me Aaron Rodgers is dead. Not a second earlier.
Okay, so you're going to be betting against the Spurs then this year, right?
I bet against him last year when Tinny left.
Okay.
I won that bet too.
Well, okay.
There was one year where they caught me, but yeah, once I'm out, I'm out. But I'm not on Aaron Rodgers yet. I believe in Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry. I'm the problem. I'm the guy who should know better and doesn't and screws up the spread for everyone else.
You are a Falcons fan, so it makes sense.
How and also dare you? The Minnesota Vikings won 13 games last year in a bit of an anomaly, having lost a quarterback and also somehow found one. This year they're on the line for 10 wins. I got them going over. I think you do too. The defense is absolutely fucking horrifying. I don't know if Case Keenum's going to do what he did last year, but I don't know if he has to. What do you say?
It's not Case Keenum, homie. It's Kirk Cousins.
Oh, hell no. No, absolutely the fuck not. Look, this is how bad that news is for me, because I was all in on the Vikings. All in. And I have mentally blocked the fact that they got Kirk fucking Cousins as their quarterback. Are you a Kirk Cousins believer? Because I'm going to have to kick you off this show.
No, I am not. But
okay.
I just believe in that defense more.
No, the defense is so blinding. Like, anyone doesn't, like, it was like, oh, the story last year was, no, the story last year was this fucking defense.
Yes.
It's so good.
Like, Mike Zimmer basically was like, okay, Marvin, you think you were the reason for that great-ass defense in Cincinnati? Oh, no. We going to take this defense. We going to travel it up north to Minnesota. I'm going to have two really nice wideouts in Diggs and Thielen, and we going to ride, and it won't matter who the quarterback is, even if it is Kirk fucking Cousins.
You know who's the maddest about the Minnesota defense?
Aaron Rodgers.
Wade Phillips. Because he's like, if you just gave me Aaron Donald, I could do that. Just pay this motherfucker, and we could do this. He's furious.
Man, of course he's furious. But again, he's going to tweet about it at some point. Again, remember, Coach Phillips is probably going to give it like, okay, these motherfuckers got 2 more weeks.
Before Wade threatens to call that coach's daddy.
Like, for real, they got 2 more weeks.
Like, that was my favorite thing about planning this. I just pictured Wade Phillips like, I ain't gonna call him yet. I'm gonna call him soon.
Exactly.
I'm let the little boy let him feel himself for a while. But he ain't gonna fuck up my defense. I tell you what he's not gonna do. Fuck up my defense.
Exactly. And then he's gonna call out Les Snead to all them dudes out in LA. Like, look, y'all two gonna be some grown ass men. I'm gonna get his agent in here. We're gonna get you in here. We're gonna sign this motherfucker. We're gonna win 12 games.
Let's do it. Like, honestly, like, that's the one thing looking at this Minnesota team. I just keep feeling worse and worse for Wade Phillips. It's like, God damn, Wade. Just if they just bring him in, you'll be fine. But that's it. That's the truth. And you're right. Probably Kirk Cousins can't take this team. Kirk Cousins has done shit that I thought was impossible on a football field, and not in a positive way. No,
exactly. And the thing is, I think this defense is so good that it doesn't matter who the quarterback is.
Now that's a fair point. That's 1,000% fair point. I think you're right. I'm all a little scared, having been like brainwashed into forgetting Kirk Cousins as the quarterback. Now that I remember he is, it's a little unsettling, but we'll survive.
Yes, we will survive.
All right, let's go now to the NFC East. Some call it the most fun division of football. I call it a bunch of also-rans and the world champion Eagles. All right, let's start in the star Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott entering his 3rd year under center. Last year they eked out 9 wins. This year the line 8.5, because things don't change in Dallas. A team that's gone 500 since their last Super Bowl appearance, and a team that's gone exactly winless, I believe, in the playoffs since then as well. Maybe they got one now.
They got one.
They got one for 20 fucking years.
They got one, and that was against the Detroit Lions.
So history's going to get made no matter what. And I know we can sit here for hours and talk about Dak Prescott's comments in public and his head patting from his owner. We're not going to do that. I'm talking about strictly football reasons. I looked at Dak's numbers from last year. If Dak's numbers last year were Dak's numbers his rookie year, they would have brought back Romo.
Oh, no. Again, do you think Jerry Jones would have let Dak even bother the quarterback? You mean to tell me this nigga had mediocre stats, and you telling me that my quarterback Tony Romo is signed with CBS. No, he wouldn't have been able. Again, he'd have bought up all the ink on pens to keep Tony Romo from signing with CBS. Tony Romo would have had to sign that contract in blood to get out of Dallas because there wouldn't have been no damn ink.
And I think that's the saddest part about the water carrying that I'm seeing out of Dak is that, like, if you don't have a great year, you're done here. They will draft a quarterback in the first round, and they'll do it and stare you in the eyes while they do it.
The one thing I will, again, in the one defense I will have of Dak is he is a 4th-round pick. And granted, he's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, so that his words carry a lot of weight. Did he carry the water for Jerry Jones? Yes. But when you making that sub $1 million salary, even as a quarterback, I'm not necessarily about fucking up the bag before I have to.
No. I'm not saying he was going to come out here and ever defy Jerry, but you have to quote him.
Of course he did.
You have to quote him. Like, I mean, you could have just, I stand for the anthem. Like, you didn't have to give the ammunition to the people who are going to use it disingenuously.
He was going to give someone some ammo to do it disingenuously. Like I said, it's the one area I don't blame Dak in.
I don't blame him. I'm just saying, you got to take this roasting.
Oh no, he's got to take it. Now, mind you, the Get Out poster, even though I thought it was too far, was funny as shit.
That may be the cover image for this podcast because the Get Out mural was painted by a former college quarterback who said, when asked if he said, do you know what Dak feels about? He says, I don't care what Dak feels about. He can come see me. Which means he knows that Dak got his ass whooped by his offensive line on spring break, the year he was a Heisman contender at Mississippi State, which I will always bring up because Dak Prescott, no matter what he tells you as a leader of men, ain't a leader of shit. Now.
Yeah. Under. We're doing under.
Under, I thought so. Speaking of under.
Yeah.
Team I believe you cheer for.
Yeah.
The New York Football Giants.
Yeah.
The Geno Smiths, if you will.
Geno, oh.
Let me finish. It's my podcast. God. Those of 3 wins last year are on the line for 7 fucking wins of football games. If you take the over, I'm hanging up.
Is it bad? I want to say push.
You are such a liar. Look at this homer. Explain your push to me.
Well, actually, now that I'm really looking at the schedule, they're going to get – actually, hold on. No, under. And way under.
Had you not looked before that would happen?
No, I thought about it, and then I went back and the images of that preseason game outside of Saquon Barkley started creeping in my head. And then I saw Jaguars, Cowboys, Texans, Saints, Panthers, Eagles, Falcons, and Washington in the first 8 weeks.
There's not a team that pulls out like a 2-6 and then writes the shit the rest of the season. That's not your team. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. It's not that, and I don't see more than 1 win on that in the first 8 weeks.
I said 2-6 to be nice. I was trying to be nice.
I don't see more than 1. Like this is a team that should have hit the reset button on Eli Manning. Now, granted, McAdoo screwed all of that up.
No one. Look, I love the sacrificial lamb, but no one is saying McAdoo is blameless. No one. However, you brought in your boy Gettleman.
Yep.
Which is not, let's just say, a design to build a winner.
Mm-hmm.
And you let him run that checkbook controls over what happened, and now you're fighting with the only thing that makes your team bearable, Odell Beckham. Because let's be very clear, every cent that Eli Manning has earned in the last 3 years should have gone directly into Odell Beckham's bank account.
Oh, no, I absolutely agree. The problem is, though, and this is where I have the biggest problem, if we're going to start talking about what this team should have done, Lamar Jackson was there. You could have made the same deal that the Ravens made and probably done it for cheaper. And if you tell me that this is Eli's swan song in New York while we give Lamar a chance to learn the offense, do all this stuff with Mike Shermer and with Pat Shermer, you know what? I'm cool with that. But the fact that they didn't even bother to get a high-end quarterback, like, really?
Yo,
And
the not drafting a quarterback in the first 2 rounds, I was legitimately stunned. Legitimately stunned this draft.
like literally, this was the draft to do it. Like
Yeah.
this was the draft. And the fact that this didn't go down tells me that the Rooneys and the Maras are a little bit more involved than people probably want to give credit for. And on that note, I do have some Gettleman stories that I cannot tell on this podcast, but I got to tell you later.
Excellent. I honestly cannot wait because, whoo, buddy, you lost him locally and gained him with the team you love. Like, I felt bad at you for a second, then I remembered who you were, and I didn't feel as bad anymore. Next up, the reigning, defending, undisputed NFL champions of the world, Philadelphia Eagles. And I am standing for the Eagles, not because I lived there for 2 years, but because they beat the Patriots after what the Patriots did to my team. Fuck the Patriots forever and ever. They won a remarkable, and I don't throw that word around lightly, a remarkable 13 games last year. When you look at the list of injuries, and not just because their quarterback, but their entire fucking defense, like, wait a second, this is because they didn't lose much and they gained a couple things. Things can get really weird in Philly this year. The line's 10.5, and I've got the over all day and twice on Sunday.
Yeah, they're my lock on the over because the division's not very good. They're going to go probably 5-1, 6-0 in that division. And they play the South, and I really like
Watch them out.
I really like them against I really like them. I could see I could see them winning 14 games.
You know, and the craziest part is, like, normally I would say, I don't know if this over is enough or is too high because we don't know if the star's coming back. Nick Foles has proven he can do it.
Exactly.
Like you can't win a Super Bowl with Nick Foles thing, we cannot say that anymore. I will continue to say it about Kirk Cousins because you cannot win the Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins. Prove me wrong, Minnesota. Prove me wrong. But I just think that because when he comes back, obviously Wentz is going to be the starter. Like let's erase that pretend statement where we don't know who's going to. It's going to be Carson Wentz. But until then, it's not going to be a let's hold the fort and play these games tight. No, they're going to come out and open it up and let Nick Foles do what he does. And I do believe the league's in for a real big problem because Wentz was on pace to break a lot of records before he took that injury.
And that's the thing. Wentz is everything I've read is Wentz is ready to go week 1.
I wouldn't play him.
I would. Well, you don't have to.
That's a for who for what? Where do you like? If I didn't know Nick Foles could do it, I'd play. If I knew he could, and I could probably buy a week by just letting him just fucking let's walk you through a game week.
That's true.
Just walk you through a game week. Why are we going to kill ourselves? What are we trying for who for what? Speaking of the Eagles, like what are we trying to prove to anyone? We're the Eagles. We got this ring. We killed the dragon.
Yes, and possibly sent them into a spiral
the AFC preview was spicy because I was real honest about the Patriots, about all the rumors I've heard, and we had a lot of fun with it because Barcel's a Packers fan, so we both had those motherfuckers. The Washington professional football team, they won 7 last year with Kirk Cousins. They're slated to win 7 this year with Alex Smith. I don't know if it's an upgrade at quarterback. I do know it feels like a downgrade everywhere else, and I think 7's too many.
7 is who?
It's a good number. It's a good line. Let's put it that way. It's a really tough line. I think the Geis injury does more damage. That's so bad.
Woo.
I hate preseason football so much.
Like the Geis injury alone is enough to hurt you, especially in the running game where their running game has been suspect. They look at the last 8 games of theirs. Giants is the only guaranteed 2 wins that they have in that last 8. You got Falcons, Bucks, Texans, Cowboys, Eagles, Giants again, Jags, Titans, Eagles. That's a tough stretch.
It's a tough stretch, I'm not gonna lie. It's not pretty.
And that's coming off of the first 8 games where you have Saints, Panthers, Packers, Cards.
Yeah, Washington fans gonna be in for a long stretch here, and it's good because your team name is racist. That's why I don't say it on this podcast. Let's go to the NFC South.
Oh boy, here we go.
The thing is, you know me better than that. You know I'm not coming here cocky.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell you what. Day one of podcast week, our UGA preview got a little cocky.
Not surprised.
It got a little. Well, the schedule's really light. Like it's a really easy. They had 2 LSU, which is scary.
Mm-hmm.
But then the trap game of Kentucky between LSU and Auburn is scary. But beyond that, like LSU, because you know they're going to put it at night, and those Bayou assholes are going to be drunk as shit. Speaking of people who I don't like, we'll get to the Saints in a second. Let's start with the Falcons. They won 10 last year. I don't know how they won 10 last year, honestly. I do know the offensive line got a lot better. I thought the offensive line was a level of improvement last year. The running game's always a joy to watch. And I thought that a lot of the mishaps in the red zone were familiarity with the offense. This year they're slated for 9 wins. I'm taking the over. Objective observer, how do you feel? Is it over 9?
I don't think it's over 9. I think it's at 9.
Fucking rude.
I don't trust Sark.
Who do you trust?
I don't trust Sark. I do not trust Sark. He is
I've seen him call an offense. I've seen him call a good offense. I've seen him call an offense that, particularly with 2 years under the belt, can be something special in other places with less talented pieces. I think that with Julio Jones, may not have the numbers he's had in the past, but his presence will affect the numbers underneath. I love Austin Hooper. I love the tight end Austin Hooper. I love him. And we got a great deal on Ricardo Allen by, the safety market being depressed.
I like Ridley more than most. I like Ridley more than most. I don't trust Sark. And it literally, he is
that's fair.
one step above Mike Shula for me. One step above Mike Shula.
The thing is, for Sark, it's always good till the wheels fall off. That's like, say what you like. Maybe that's a little insensitive, but it's true. Like you see, like he hasn't consistently disappointed. The disappointments have been huge, but by and large, I can trust the Sark team.
Yeah, but he's to quote James Tiberius Kirk, he's a poor marksman at times. He keeps missing the target. There's a play there that
won't happen. We won't be calling pass plays at the end of the Super Bowl up that many points. Kyle.
Yeah. I mean, you have every right to be bitter. It's only the worst collapse in Super Bowl history.
Let's move on. That was fucking rude. Carolina Panthers, your hometown squad. They're fine. They're fine. They won 11 games last year. They won a miracle 11 games last year. They did not deserve to win 11 games, but they won 11 games.
No, they didn't.
Cam Newton remains a terrifying freak of nature. And if you're like, what do you mean, just a quarterback? Cam Newton, so Kelvin Benjamin is now plays for the Devils. And Kelvin Benjamin went on social media, and on interviews, it came off a little spicy about his former quarterback saying something to the effect of, I wish there'd been more accurate passing where I came from. And with a more accurate passer, I'm going to really show what I can do. Let's remind everyone what Kelvin Benjamin did in his time in Carolina. His rookie year, very good rookie campaign. Second year, injury. The Carolina Panthers didn't go to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, without him.
The next year, he comes to camp heavy. Cam stands up for him, not just publicly, but also behind closed doors. Cam works with him extra to get the weight off. They have an okay year because, honestly, Kelvin Benjamin's route running style and physical play isn't the most conducive to the talents that are held by Cam Newton. They're not complementary talents, particularly post-injury. I think all that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. The issue I had with what he did and what he said is the minute you utter the word accurate and Eli Manning in the same fucking sentence, and cerebral and Eli Manning in the same fucking sentence.
Tell the truth.
I can't. Again, you lose me. And then when you're sticking up for Nathan Peterman saying the guy that nearly sunk Buffalo's playoff chances, when you're doing all of that, and when you're having your coach, Sean McDermott, being like, oh, cut the shit. We can't have this right now. When you're doing all of that, I have a problem. More importantly, and this is the thing, this is where I feel bad for Kelvin Benjamin, His mom passed. That's why he put on all the weight before he got traded. He was up to about 280, 295 from what I've heard. Like, legitimately, there were issues there. But his mom's dying, so you know what? Ain't nobody telling me shit when my mom's dying. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give you the reason to go that. And you deserve to get, and if we're honest, Cam knew where those cameras were. Kelvin Benjamin got played on camera.
Yo,
that's what it was.
So I want to get the backstory before I talked about the incident. So before the Panthers played the Bills in a preseason game, Kelvin was obviously chatting with some of his old teammates, including Georgia great Thomas Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And Cam walked over. If you're of the diaspora, you've seen this walkover. Amy, I'm going to house you for a minute. And Thomas, the third guy, still trying to joke. Hey, man, give us a minute. Okay, cool. We've all seen that interaction.
Yeah.
I've seen that interaction end in blows a good 80 to 85% of the time.
Dude, this one.
Cam walked up with his hands behind his back, chin presented. I wish you would swing. Kelvin not only didn't want to talk, he tried to walk away without tapping on my man, who came over. Let's be fair, Cam didn't know where the cameras were, but it did not appear he came over in an aggressive manner. I can't say the words. I don't know what was said. No one was mic'd up. I will say the body language and the amateur lip reading I did, it came off of, hey, what's going on?
No, yeah, exactly. And the thing is, we know they have each other's phone numbers, so I'm assuming that Cam tried to reach out.
Oh, he ducked Cam. Like those are the actions of a man who's ducking you.
Yes, that is absolutely the big thing. Was he ducked him like he owed him money?
Yo, and by the time this podcast runs, Kelvin Benjamin will release a statement or said something about this because you cannot say nothing. I'm sorry, you just can't. But it's invalid. No matter what he said between us recording this and it dropping, nothing we've said changes.
No, nothing absolutely says. The thing that bugs me the most about it, though, was that we're talking about a dude who is grossly underachieved for a first-round pick. Grossly underachieved. And the other thing is, the dude that you slammed was one of the few guys that had your back.
No, consistently, publicly, and that's what gets me more than anything else in the world. This is not a guy. This is not one of the dudes who helped run you out of town. This is not one of the dudes who said, "Oh, he's overweight traded. He's hurt. We don't need him." He's lobbying for you. I know this.
Yeah, this is the thing that bugged me the most. Is this was the dude that was upset, put it out on social media during the season, which Cam rarely does. He was talking about how upset he went to bat for you the day after the trade happened. He was like, I'm upset. I'm not happy with management, yada, 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 which obviously, considering everything that he did last year, caused an uproar. And
hi, Frank Lutz.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. You know what? But this guy, for all Cam's flaws, is fiercely loyal to his people.
Exactly.
And the fact that Kelvin didn't return that loyalty says a whole hell of a lot more about a guy like Kelvin Benjamin than it does Cam Newton. And that at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Amen to that. Let's talk about the team in the Bayou. Gumbo Saints. They won 11 games last year for 9.5 this year. If you listen to this podcast, you know where I stand. Fuck them the under every year.
I think this is the year that Magic runs out. I think the Magic.
I honestly thought it was last year. I was like, this is bullshit. Like the middle of last year, I was hanging out with some friends. I was like, can we be honest about something for a second? Like, yeah, I was like, this is some bullshit. This is some bullshit that's happening in New Orleans. I can't explain it. I don't like it.
I don't blame you. Now, granted, they're probably going to go 2-1 in the first three, losing to the Falcons, because I'm not going to completely insult you today. I'm going to be the bigger man on this one. But they're going to start 2-1, but that schedule late gets kind of interesting.
And this is not a New Orleans team that's built to withstand injuries or, let's say, suspensions. There's not a whole lot of, what do you call, depth here. This is a team that's going to be pretty good early, and then as attrition happens, a lot of questions you're going to get asked, because you're right. There's only so long you can do this thing here, and there's no backup plan. There's no next step. At least the Giants have Davis Webb. I have been waiting all podcasts to say that. Sorry. There's no success. There's no plan. I honestly think that when Breeze leaves, Payton retires that second.
Exactly. It's back to paper bag time. It'll be back to paper bag time.
It never left. Fuck the Saints.
Let's just move on because, again, we cannot talk about this objectively right now.
I have no interest in discussing the Saints objectively.
Of course you don't.
Why don't we? They're the reason that I can't accept there are fine people on both sides because the Saints exist and there aren't. Yeah, I said it. I'm here. What was the day you guys went too far on the podcast? It was day 4 of podcast week. Dirk Cutter and the Buccaneers. And I say Dirk Cutter because their quarterback continues to make himself unavailable. Dirk Cutter and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they finished a very disappointing 5 wins last year. Their quarterback suspended for, I believe, the first 3 this year. Their interim quarterback is Mr. Magic himself, Harvard's own Ryan Fitzpatrick, who lost to me in the last football game against Columbia. No big deal.
Oh, jeez.
Safety school, Fitzpatrick. I don't think it is a safety school. I don't think that the Tampa Bay Bucs team is good for anyone. I think that the quarterback, whose name I'm not going to say, he needs to go. I don't think he needs to. Being in the NFL is a privilege, not a right, and we've seen him abuse these level of privilege repeatedly and learn nothing. Continually learn nothing. I'm all for growth. I'm all for change. I'm one of those people who said that if Hulk Hogan had done the work, I would applaud his return to the WWE television. He didn't do the work, ergo, I refuse to. Same thing here. I refuse to allow myself to be made a fool of again by Jameis Winston.
Ooh, you had to dig deep within yourself to even utter that man's name. Is it Voldemort?
It's really gotten disgusting to me because, it preys on my sensibilities to defend the athlete in a lot of situations and to say benefit of the doubt. And, I've watched college kids get railroaded, but there's not one moment where I can say, oh, look, he showed improved levels of cognition and he's getting better as a human. Pac-Man Jones improved as a man when he fucked up.
Yes, he did.
This man has shown no effort to do so. Only on the day he was suspended, his son was born and said, well, now I know I've got to be better to teach him to be better. Motherfucker, that means you knew you weren't shit before he was born.
Yeah. Like, this whole situation bugs me with Jameis Winston. And you know what? The funny thing is, I can see a scenario where some team desperate for a quarterback says, hey, we'll give you a 5th-round pick and we'll take Jameis off your hands so you can start Ryan Fitzpatrick for the rest of the year and get this cloud out from underneath you, and you can start all over. I can see a scenario where he's dealt at the deadline.
It's probably best for everyone, honestly. Because I know we're talking about the Jameis Winston off the field things, because the on the field has never really lived up to what we thought it was going to be.
No.
One of my favorite jokes was Jimbo Fisher's biggest win was getting who was the quarterback before him?
Which one was
Christian Ponder drafted?
Yeah.
And now I could say it's getting Christian Ponder drafted and getting James Tristan drafted in the first round, because I haven't seen flashes of LSU. I haven't seen anything on the field that says this guy was worth the pick he came in at. And you can say that he and Mariota both have kind of underwhelmed, but I could say right now when Mariota's healthy, I know you can win a football game with him. I don't know that about Jameis Winston.
Hell, we know that Mariota can get you to the playoffs.
Yo!
I
don't know that about Jameis Winston.
Exactly. We do not know that about Jameis Winston. And you could say, for all the things that Mariota is, Mariota didn't have the weapons that Jameis had last year.
No.
Again, you had D-Jack, you had Mike Evans, and you still finished with less than, it was 7 wins last year, I think? How do you underperform with that offense? And O.J. Howard.
They won 5.
I'm sorry. How do you win 5 games with that offense? 5.
There's no answer. It's inexcusable.
Literally, I understand the Glazers they oversee Manchester United. So, again, they have higher priorities. But the fact that these football guys are basically not being watched by their bosses and continue to underperform It's the best. That's got to be the best job ever in football. The owners are overseas watching Manchester and Pogba and all them, and you can do whatever you want, and you fuck up like this.
And what you want is 5 wins?
Like literally, how do you fuck this job up badly?
Ask Dirk Cutter and Mike Smith. They used to do it in Atlanta all the time.
That's the
man. Thank you for coming on and go through the NFC with us. I'm sorry about your Giants. Tell everyone they can follow and find you, man.
Man, you can find me on Locked On Hornets. We're doing 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We do live shows right around noon where you can see my ridiculous hair or what's left of the ridiculous hair. More importantly, on Uprocks, you can, again, it's probably going to be a bi-weekly NBA column coming out soon. Also, with Spandex, I'm not doing the podcast, but I do a little bit of writing for them. Again, there's a lot of things happening right around now. And more importantly, you can follow me at Nada the Scribe on Twitter. And as long as you're not like some shameless Falcons fan, you can say whatever you want to me. I'm not necessarily going to block you unless you're an asshole.
I feel attacked. I'm going to let that be on. I feel attacked. And that's writer or ghostwriter with Spandex, you know where to find me. Again, day 4, podcast week. We're almost at the end, guys. Make sure you tune in tomorrow to hear myself, Rich Fan, Cam Hawkins, and Sam Franco break down all that is SummerSlam weekend, including NXT Brooklyn 4. Never thought we'd get here, but we can't seem to shake it. That was your show. This is your outro. See you guys tomorrow.
Lord, I am born, and with the echoes of the